So we were founded by Timothy Taylor in 1858, and actually it was on a different location in Keighley. It was the Cook Lane. But in 1863, this parcel of land that we're on came up for sale. It was known as Knoll Park, and Timothy bought a piece of it. And the reason he did that was that Knoll Park was over the Knoll Spring, and for brewing and malting, which he did quite a bit of malting in those days, quality water was really important, particularly back in the 1800s.
Well, so Tim, thanks for having us to come to Timothy Taylor's, which is one of the main businesses in Keighley, been going for many years, and it's really good just to get a feeling from you how things are going at the moment, because it's been pretty difficult over the last 7 months or so.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of been a tale of two halves for us, because frankly, up until March, on the 5th of March, I presented to our board and I said, we're going to smash our budget. We're doing brilliantly. The brand's in growth all around the country. So we were flying, and then it's amazing to think, but only 9 working days later, we were in sort of an existential fight with lockdown. We have 19 pubs. One is one that we manage ourselves, the Woolly Sheep in Skipton, and the other 18 are run by business partners, or conventionally called tenants. So it's their business, but it's we own the physical building and we supply the beer. We really benefited from the government support. For breweries, I suppose the shame was we didn't get rates relief, but we did get the furlough scheme. And at our peak of 106 employees, we had 90 on furlough. So we were running with a real skeleton crowd. Certainly from a pub's point of view, they benefited from the grants. And again, the only challenge there was we have a few with a rateable value above 51,000. So it seemed a bit unfair that they're above that and there's nothing. And and if I'm honest, a couple of those people had to come to us, weren't well served by the banking community, if I'm honest. And the brewery ended up doing loans. I mean, one of the things is even this week, although we've had the 10 p.m. curfew announced, one of the problems is because things happen so quickly, and to be honest, there does sometimes seem to be inconsistencies, there's still a real worry about perhaps a 2-week circuit breaker or lockdown. And the problem with that, with cask beer, because of our short shelf life, is we've already had customers that are worried about that, rumors that it might happen at half term, cutting back their orders for this week and next week because they just don't want to risk, the stock being in the system. So it's that unknown. That the challenge we've really had is that landlords done exceptionally well, relatively speaking. The secondary brands have really suffered because a lot of pubs that would normally have 4 hand pulls for, say, cask ale don't want to risk it, again, because of the shelf life issue, and so they might be only putting on 2 hand pulls.
The 10 p.m. curfew, how's that going to impact?
Well, look, our kind of cask ale isn't necessarily drunk by people who are having lots of pints at 1 a.m. or whatever, but on the other hand, 10 p.m., that's doors shut. So you're really saying last order's 9:30, which puts a heck of a dampener on an evening opening, I mean, something like 11 p.m. or whatever would have made, for us, quite a difference. About 80% of our business goes through the pubs. So, and also it's the more profitable side. So, people talk in terms of volume, but it's also about where you get your revenue. And our cask ale, because of our reputation in cask, commands a real premium. Whereas it's harder to get that premium in bottled beer. So I think any scheme that helps to top up wages where maybe people can't work 100%, or that makes up for the fact that we can't be running at 100% at the moment because the demand isn't there. But the problem is the people we've got in the brewery, we've really trained them up. They might be relatively low skilled when they join us, but then after a year with us and our ways and knowing what to do, they've got skills that are vital to us. So what we don't want to do is have to release those. breweries nowadays use hot pellets. And if I were to tell you that if we used hot pellets, I could have a week's worth in boxes in the corner, whereas what the guys are doing in the background there is we have to physically hoist all these bales up here to use it. But what the brewers say is that we wouldn't get the depth of flavor without using these whole leaf hops. So we've stuck with them, even though virtually the whole industry has moved away from it, even though it's a right pain to kind of hoist them up.
What's the future look like for the industry over the next 5-10 years, and where can government help in securing the long-term future of some, particularly organisation the size of Timothy Taylor?
Yeah. I think there's two sides. Some are specific industry sides of things. So, one of our challenges, as we talked about earlier, we rely on pubs. We much prefer that cask ale experience, which is uniquely British. So we're very reliant on the future and the health of the pub sector. And I think, there's a lot of costs, whether it's the rates that pubs pay, which are calculated on a different basis to other businesses. So I forget what the figure is, but pubs pay a far disproportionate sector of the rate bill than their economic output would indicate. I just wanted to show you one of the things we're up against in Keighley, with crime in the community, how some of the elements work and what we have to be on a guard against. So I'm just going to show you a clip, and I'll kind of describe it as it goes on. But what you have to realize is that car there was probably going from A to B, but watch him put on the brakes. Look, because he's clearly noticed that the driver of this lorry is parking the car down there. All right, now just watch what happens next. I just find this unbelievable. Looks in the lorry, what's there? Steals the backpack. And that's why we have to, you can see the fences we've got here, fences, CCTV, etc. Because we do have to because we've had, we rent this out to Colin Appleyard's, one of the local car dealerships. And for example, they had a Range Rover in there, and clearly word must have gotten around. And that night, some people came in, cut a hole in the fence here, in they came and basically dismantled the Range Rover before the security guy, could notice it on the CCTV. I believe, I've never heard that this result, we told the police we had it, etc. It's high quality CCTV, but I've never heard that anything was ever came of it.